It's been nearly 2 years since we last saw Vin Diesel and the Fast crew speeding across the screen in Fast X. While we know there's still one more movie coming to wrap things up, the road to that finale has been anything but smooth. Fast X Part 2 still doesn't have a release date and hasn't even started filming yet. But Diesel just shared a big update on Instagram. According to him, filming for Fast X Part 2 is finally kicking off this summer in Los Angeles. He didn't say exactly when the movie's dropping, but the best guess right now is sometime in late 2026 or maybe even early 2027. On top of that, Diesel's also stepping behind the camera again to direct another Fast and Furious short film. He recently talked about how he came back to the franchise in the fourth movie and was asked to direct Los Bandoleros, which filled in the blanks on what Dom had been up to. Now, he's teasing a new short, another precursor, and hinted it'll be shot in a pretty wild location. Judging by his post, it sounds like the Middle East is where we'll be heading next. While we all knew Fast X would end on a cliffhanger, nobody was ready for just how many loose threads it left hanging. Between characters in limbo, a wild surprise comeback, and unanswered questions from earlier films, the movie threw a lot at us right before the credits rolled. The biggest question? Whether Dom makes it out alive. The final scenes show Dom and little Brian trapped at the bottom of a dam, one that's rigged with bombs thanks to Dante and the double-crossing agency boss, Ames. When those explosives go off, a huge wave is about to crash down on them with zero clear escape route in sight. Now, let's be real. It'd be a total shock if Dom and his son actually bite the dust before the final chapter. So yeah, odds are they make it out somehow. The fun part is trying to guess how. Will they pull off a physics-defying stunt? Maybe ride a chunk of their wrecked car like it's a surfboard through the wave? Honestly, it wouldn't be the wildest thing this franchise has done. And while we wait for Fast and Furious 11, might as well come up with the craziest survival theories. We've got time. Another big question hanging in the air: what happened to Ramsey, Tej, Roman, and Han? Right after Ames is revealed to be a full-on villain, he really goes for it by launching a rocket at the plane carrying the crew as they rush to help Dom. The missile nails one of the engines, and while we don't see the full crash, it's clear the plane's going down. So, did they survive? Given how close-knit this crew is, it's hard to imagine the franchise killing off all four at once. Still, we wouldn't be shocked if one of them doesn't make it out. It definitely raised the emotional stakes heading into the final chapter. Now for a fun theory. Did anyone else notice the cars loaded on that plane right before the rocket hits? Yeah, you know where this is going. We're betting they jump into those cars and pull a mid-air escape, parachuting or somehow crashing their way to safety, Fast style. Sounds crazy? In any other movie, sure, but in this franchise, that's just another Tuesday. One of the biggest head-scratchers? How is Giselle alive again? Aside from the possible character deaths in Fast X, the final scene drops a wild twist. Gal Gadot's Giselle pops up out of nowhere. She's chilling on a submarine that shows up in Antarctica to save Letty and Cypher, but we don't get a single clue about how she survived, why she's on a sub, or if she's now teamed up with Cypher, who seems to be the one that brought her in. There's a deeper theory that the next movie might explain she never really died in Fast and Furious 6. The quick version? Mr. Nobody might have pulled another fake out like he did with Han. Another mystery is the whereabouts of Mr. Nobody. Kurt Russell's Mr. Nobody was MIA in F9 except for some flashbacks, and he doesn't even get that in Fast X, but he's not totally forgotten. His daughter Tess has stepped up at the agency, basically taking over his role by having Dom's back, which is definitely needed since Ames, the guy now running the show, clearly can't stand Dom. He even hates barbecues, so you know it's personal. The movie drops a few hints about Mr. Nobody's mysterious disappearance, so it feels like they're building up to something. Last we saw, Jacob hijacked Mr. Nobody's plane, back when he was still a villain, and it crashed. But when Dom's crew checked out the crash site, there was no sign of him. So yeah, he's probably laying low somewhere. And with Dante now working the agency from the inside, maybe that's the kind of chaos big enough to bring Mr. Nobody back into the mix. Alright, let's hit pause on the big questions for a sec and dive into some theories and predictions. I've got some good ones. First up, classic Fast and Furious characters showing up for the final showdown. Since Fast and Furious 11 is being hyped as the last main movie, it feels like the perfect time to bring back some old-school characters and give them the love they deserve. The franchise has been going strong for over 20 years, so it makes sense that a few faces have kind of faded into the background. But now's the time to bring them back. Suki, for example, is super underrated but only showed up once. Same with Leon, who actually had a decent-sized role in the very first movie. Then there's Monica, who had major potential but only popped up again briefly in Fast Five's post-credits. Even Sean and Twinkie, who led Tokyo Drift, haven't gotten much action lately aside from F9. So with the end of the road in sight, it seems pretty likely that Fast 11 will rally a bunch of these familiar faces to help Dom and the crew in the big finale. Another fun prediction I have is that Fast and Furious 11 might just set up Dom's son, Little B, as the next lead of the franchise. Dom and Brian O'Connor have been the faces of the series since the beginning, and lately, Dom's taken center stage. But with the next movie marking the end of an era, it feels like the right time to start passing the torch. Dom's gone through a lot over the years, but becoming a dad has changed him the most, and it's clear Little B is already picking up his dad's love for cars and the whole outlaw lifestyle. Fixing up cars is one thing, but Little B also witnessed Jacob's death and got caught in the chaos at the end of Fast X. That kind of experience is going to shape him, and it definitely feels like he's on the path to becoming just like his old man. He probably won't be front and center in the final battle against Dante, but don't be surprised if he pulls off something wild, then drops a killer line near the end that hints at him putting together his own crew someday. It'd be a cool way to hint at the future without taking the spotlight away from the OGs just yet. And lastly, Dante Reyes might end up killing Luke Hobbs in Fast and Furious 11. With Dwayne Johnson coming back after the drama with Vin Diesel, Hobbs is definitely going to play a huge part in the final chapter. That mysterious phone call at the end of Fast X teased some serious personal beef between him and Dante, and Hobbs' upcoming spin-off pretty much solidifies him as one of the franchise's biggest characters. But even with all that, his death is still on the table. If there's real animosity between Hobbs and Dante, Hobbs might go rogue and try to take Dante down his own way, messing with Dom and the crew's plans. Unfortunately, that could backfire big time, especially since Dante has already shown he's a master of manipulation. Plus, Hobbs' solo movie likely takes place before Fast and Furious 11 in the timeline, and while losing him would be a huge hit for future spin-offs, it could really crank up the tension in the final battle, showing just how dangerous and ruthless Dante really is. Well, that's it for today. Which character are you most excited to see again? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates and discussions on all things Fast and Furious and beyond. Catch you next time.